Hello, I'm Susan Ward. Welcome to my channel and to the William Lilly Project. The project has been established to catalogue and analyse all of William Lilly's everyday astrological work, mostly horary charts or questions. The work is underway and we are building a small team to support and extend that work. That this was needed became clear when I analysed some of his charts that I'd had for many years. That analysis formed the basis of the chapter I wrote in an edited volume published by Brill. But I'll put the details in the description below. I was also encouraged to compile my 3-volume book of sources, the 3rd volume of which was a direct result of my receiving these manuscripts, the ones that you're about to see. Again, I'll leave details to those volumes in the description. This is an important and exciting project, which we hope to be able to make freely accessible, possibly in the same way that the Casebooks project has been done, the amazing project led by Professor Lauren Castle, detailing the medical work of Simon Foreman and his student Richard Napier. We are supported by the Astra project associated with the University of Lisbon. Again, I'll leave the details below. And I used these slides in a presentation at that university in November 2025. I shan't be explaining the technicalities of the following charts in this presentation, but I shall in later videos. To support and promote the William Lilly Project, I shall be producing short videos presenting one of the charts from his practice books. These will be released periodically, and if you're keen to encourage us to produce more, please like and subscribe. In that way, you'll be notified when there is a new upload. This is the list of all the practice books that we have. Clearly, there are large gaps for which we have no explanation, but I'm hoping they'll turn up one day. As you can see, MS Ashmole 210 is truncated in that the front half of the book from the 17th of September 1648 to the 29th of July 1649 is missing. This period covers the trial and execution of King Charles I in January 1649. It's possible that that is the reason for the lacuna. Perhaps Lilly disposed of it himself. He had been called before a parliamentary committee in June 1660, that is, after the restoration of the Stuart monarchy, because they believed that he knew who it was who had executed the king. This may well have been the time that he disposed of this section of the book, making sure it could never incriminate him or anyone else. What is also clear is how his practice grew over time. In MS Ashmole 420, we can see that his practice doubled on average when compared to the previous year. In the following truncated book, we might assume another 1,000 charts in the missing section. An analysis of MS Ashmole 185 and 420 should reveal the reason for the rapid expansion in consultations. That analysis will be done in the near future. There is one more manuscript source not included here because it doesn't strictly conform to the practice book system. It's something of an anomaly. It is little more than a notebook in bad condition. MS Ashmole 430 contains about 160 charts, looking much the same as the others. It covers April and May of 1659 with one or two additional charts for 1660 and 1661. It will be included in the cataloguing. It may be that it has survived because it wasn't part of the practice book or books for that year. In the excitement of receiving these manuscripts, it was difficult to decide where to start, which one to open first. So logic took over and I opened the first practice book first. Imagine my joy when it was opened. Not even the first folio, but the inside of the front cover reveals information we'd not had before. Lily writes, "This book cost me 2 shillings and 6pence and 4pence in beer. Mars, Tuesday, the 26th Martii, that's March 1644. The moon was void of course, perhaps little gain comes by it." End quotation. This last statement will arise again. This is important. We knew that 1644 was an important year for Lilly because of his publications listed here, but we didn't know that there was a definite beginning to his professional activities. That is, he was no longer a gentleman astrologer. He was setting up in business, and I'm using the modern understanding of these terms really. He does intimate this in his autobiography when he gives one of the reasons for his returning to London in 1641 that he could earn a living there. He doesn't use those words. Again, using the expression in the modern sense. But that was the only information we had. Now we know that there was a definite and deliberate beginning to his business. It is this type of information that keeps cropping up as we work through his practice books. It's all very, very exciting. Then following that, there is a note of the date of King Charles's coronation, the 2nd of February, 1625. Then a note about Master or Mistress Punt's nativity. I can't quite work out what that short form is. I think it's mistress. The 25th of August, 1599 at 8 a.m. Then the archivist's shelf mark, then Ashmole's title inserted after Lily's death when Ashmole inherited or bought his books and papers. Then an archivist's note about the dates included in the practice book. The image on the left gives you some idea of what this book looks like, but later ones were larger, but they all look much the same. These are two early charts, both on the 1st of April, 1644. These long responses are not typical, and they disappear quite quickly. This is obviously his intention: data, question, querent, response, but it all took too long. In the first chart, the question is, de filio ad bellandum, if good for the son to go to war and if return safe. Son. I suggest that this is spelt S-O-O-N for the sun, because of Lily's slightly northern accent. She comes from the Midlands of England. So instead of saying sun, they might say sun. That's my suggestion. Now this is very topical for the time and when the first of the British Civil Wars was raging. Generally, the fighting stopped in the winter, so a question in April is looking towards the new season. It's a moving story and not uncommon. Lily writes thus: "The moon for the father in the 12th show the father full of sorrow for his son. Venus in Taurus for the sun in the 7th from the 5th show the resolution of the young man is fixed and resolved to go to the war. And being she nor the moon are afflicted of the infortunes, and that the moon applies to sextile of the sun, I judge he shall return safe and with reputation. That was a very important consideration at the time. But the moon in the 12th prolongs the intended journey by some treachery, and will discontent the young man, because they shall not so soon go as he would. He shall find a potent adversary, signified by Saturn and the sun. End quotation. In the left margin, he writes, "Not a penny for this." So his prediction referring to the void of course moon is proving true. He wasn't paid. The second chart is from Sir Thomas Middleton, and the question is, quote, "a commander of his success into North Wales," end quote. Lily's response is, "Here is Scorpio ascending, and Mars, lord of the sign, casting a trine to the cusp of the house. Jupiter his opposite beams. Here's neither sun or moon beholding the ascendant, nor any other planet. Venus is for the enemy, and Jupiter is the friends the enemy hath. The enemy's strength is great, and he wilful, full of hopes of much assistance. I find Mercury, lord of the 11th, in sextile to Venus. Some witty fugitive priest or clerk may discover much to the querent and confound their intentions. About 10 weeks hence, the querent will be in danger of treachery or by water. Jupiter, significator of the enemy, signifies some nobleman resolute to offend you. Mars is in an angle, Venus in a cadent house, Mars a superior." End quotation. In the left margin, Lily writes, "Ready eat, 17th June 1645, 3 p.m. Indeed, this is when Middleton returned, late. MPs could no longer be military commanders as well, under the self-denying ordinance, MPs, members of parliament. The exact date of his return isn't included in most of the historiography, much less the time. Presumably Lilly got this information from the querent. The text below shows how I knew of him, and there is a note written and signed by Middleton, which is a prayer for putting on a talisman. This evidence indicates a close relationship of Middleton with Lilly and others, perhaps also knowing Simon Forman personally. Unfortunately, it's not possible at this stage to know which of the two wrote that prayer, father or son. But we shall look into that later. In this chart, we see an example of two questions and two querents using only one chart. This is not uncommon, and really we shouldn't be surprised at this. I suggest that Lilly had a kind of shop at his house, a downstairs room near the entrance perhaps. When he was ready to begin work, he would put his sign outside and clients would let themselves in. So should two people arrive at the same time, clearly the astrology will be identical and indicates the nature of horary astrology. You know, how can one chart, which maps the entire heavens, apply only to one tiny fragment of one person's life? It's a matter of perspective. The first question is, Master Fowler, if good to a voyage to the East Indias in Squire Curteen's service, and Mercator eodem die et eadem hora, a merchant on the same day and at the same time. He goes on, if Newark would be besieged, or he in danger if he went down. End of quotation. Both questions are unsurprising for the time, although a question about a journey to the East Indies is much less common than to the West Indies. In the fast-changing circumstances in the civil wars, the merchant articulates a problem that would be common to anyone needing to travel. Newark is a town in the Midlands of England, and it was a royalist base. It had been besieged during February and March of that year. So this question was apposite. I'll present this chart again in a short video where I'll explain the astrology as far as I can using Lilly's methodology. In fact, I'll probably do that with most of them. So in the next volume, the next practice book, the pace continues at a similar rate as in the previous, still with one chart per leaf. In April 1644, there were 16 questions, and a little over a year later, there were 14 questions. In the same month, however, in the following practice book, still with one chart per leaf, there were 55 questions plus nativities in August, so a marked increase. This is the most common type of chart, one where the data is included or implied from previous charts, a status is given to the querent, in this case Geomanticus, which may refer to a geomancer. The moon's aspects are invariably noted in the center of the chart, but there is rarely any more information given. I should point out here that the nativities that are included in these practice books are largely ad hoc calculations used when the question requires it. E.g., for example, if a man asks if he will marry and the horary gives a negative answer, then a quick look at the nativity will either support or deny this. It is an indicator of how Lilly dealt with his clients, that he would avoid peremptory responses in the negative if he could, and shows that he didn't just rely on the horary for his judgments. In this slide, you can see that the practice book is a little larger than the last, even though there is still only one chart per leaf. Dominus Prickman asks if his wife would live. Lilly actually writes mistress, which I have interpreted as the modern Mrs. After the question, he writes nigit. This is a misspelling. I think of negito with the O being lost at the page edge. It is a strong denial. His note states that she died within a fortnight. Moving on to MS Ashmore 420, clearly his practice had expanded, having 4 charts on the recto and 2 on the verso, the latter placed so that there is no collision of bleed through, as you can see. On the verso, you can see one of the ad hoc nativities, not quite like those I mentioned earlier, because this is for a baby born a few days previously. The preceding chart is dated the 17th of June, 1647, and the nativity is for the 7th of June. The questions that can be seen, starting at the top left, a black maidservant about a journey to Barbados. This has great historical value since finding any information about the serving classes is difficult, but of black servants, so very rare, and this is why he notes it. She would have paid Lilly his fee, suggesting that she had her own money to spend, a fact that holds true for the many serving maids who came to Lilly for advice. The next question is from a gentlewoman about love. He writes, qualem, what sort? So she's asking what type of man she will marry. Following that is the question if he should remain in England. A very interesting question in a time of war when emigration was an option. The last is from a woman asking if she shall have any children. On the verso is a question from a lieutenant from Cambridgeshire. That this is a question at least relating to war is indicated by his underscoring Mars in the first house. I've written more about this in the Brill edited volume that was previously mentioned. These notebooks are becoming larger, and at a glance at one of the folios explains the reason for that. There are 6 charts on each side now, and you can see where he has noted the fee in each. Here, 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 and possibly here. So chart A, mulier and marito esset in vivis, a baker absent, went away possibly 6 years, went a soldier. So that translates as a wife, whether her husband is alive. Went away the 12th of May, 1643. Dixie, I said. He died 5 years since. Chart B. Virgo, si haberit virum desiderat in Hertfordshire. If the maid will have the man she desires in Hertfordshire. Chart C. Vidua si fascinata. A widower if bewitched. And he's noted her natal data in the centre there. Chart D. Mulier de Viro in Comitas, Leicestershire. So a woman about a man in the county of Leicestershire. E. A pewterer about a house. And chart F, a joiner about magisterio, de magisterio. I don't know how he's using this word. And in this context, I can't help any further with that, I'm afraid. This is the last and largest of the practice books, needed to accommodate 8 charts per side. Clearly, there is less space for notes, but we still have some. Notably, we have Lilly's record of the fees he was charging again, and he does this in Roman numerals rather than the earlier Arabic. We can see this again here and here. This will be equivalent to 2 shillings and sixpence, 2.5. This will be 3 shillings, 1 shilling, and so on. In the first, with any text, he has Ancilla si habebit magister. It's difficult to say exactly, again, what this word is, especially since he has abbreviated it, but she may be asking if she will have the teacher. The chart below, de scriptis, about a document. Over on the right, a question from a linen draper. At bottom left is a word that's difficult to read, but might be lanio, or an abbreviation for a butcher, thus a butcher's widow, vidua. Now here you can see the fees are clear. We've got 5 shillings, 1 shilling, 3 shillings and sixpence, 3 shillings and sixpence, 2 shillings and sixpence, and 2 shillings, 2 shillings, 1 shilling, and 6 shillings. He would usually total these sums up at the bottom of the page at the end of each day. In this case, he seems to have summed the entire month of August at £17, 13 shillings and no pence, with that day's takings being £1, 5 shillings and no pence. So I hope that has given you a good overview of the material that we're cataloguing and an understanding of our obsession with this material. Please remember to click on the like button if you would, and subscribe if you'd like to be notified of future videos. In the next video, I'll show you a fabulous chart, a question that was asked by the drunken tailor, not the drunken sailor. So join me next time for that. And in the meantime, thank you for your kind attention. Goodbye.